Today we're exploring the conscious mind, and this is actually a level of mind that most people are very familiar with. We spend almost our entire day inside of it, inside that stream of thinking and constant chatter. The conscious mind analyzes situations, it makes decisions, and it tries to work everything out for us. But very few people actually pause to ask this very simple question. What role is the conscious mind actually meant to be playing in our lives? Understanding the conscious mind answers that question, and it can completely change how we navigate life. The conscious mind is the part of mind that talks to you all day long. It analyzes situations, it runs through possibilities, and it tries to work things out. You might recognize it when you're lying in bed at night and you start reviewing the day. A conversation that you had earlier replays. Your mind wonders if you said the right thing. Another thought appears about something that you need to do tomorrow, or something that you might have forgotten to do today. The conscious mind moves quickly from one idea to the next, and it's just constantly trying to organize and take control of everything. It also shows up when you might be trying to make a decision. Should I take that opportunity? What if it goes wrong? What if it works? What will people think of me? The conscious mind weighs options, evaluates outcomes, and tries to predict the future. This ability is incredibly valuable. It allows you to plan a journey, design a business, build a home, or prepare for a difficult conversation. It allows us to reflect on our lives and choose direction. When it's used well, it's a powerful navigator. It helps us pause, look around, and say, where am I now? What actually matters to me? And what do I want to do next? I find a really helpful way to understand the conscious mind is through this metaphor of navigation. Imagine that you're traveling through unfamiliar territory without Google Maps. You would rely on these essential tools: the navigator, a map, and a compass. Each one plays a different role. Within the mind, the conscious mind acts as the navigator. The navigator studies the maps, checks the compass, observes the terrain, and decides which direction to move in. The conscious mind helps us orientate ourselves and then make deliberate choices about the path that we're going to take. You might remember that the subconscious mind is where all the maps are kept, the maps that help us move through life. These maps include our habits, our emotional associations, our beliefs, and our patterns of behaviour. Many of these maps were formed earlier in life. Some guide us beautifully, and others reflect the terrain that existed many years ago. The subconscious is also the power grid of the system that we operate within. It powers the patterns that run our daily life, and much of our behaviour runs automatically through this system, which is why, if you remember the analogy of a small torch of the conscious mind compared to the power grid of the subconscious mind, if we decide, conscious mind decides, navigator decides that it wants to do something, but it doesn't onboard, it doesn't work with the subconscious power grid, that's where we have the conflict. So beneath the subconscious, there is an even deeper level, which is the non-conscious or unconscious mind. And this represents a deeper source of energy within the psyche. In the work of Carl Jung, this is where the personal unconscious and the collective unconscious live. And from this depth arrive instinct, intuition, creativity, and archetypal patterns that shape the human experience. This deeper level of mind functions beautifully as the compass. It provides orientation that exists beyond analysis, outside of the conscious mind. So hopefully you're relating the pattern here, you're seeing the metaphor. So when the navigator, the conscious mind, learns to consult with the maps, use the maps, subconscious mind, and references the compass, the non-conscious mind, oh my gosh, life gets easier. This is a breakthrough. So something else I want to talk about, which is the pinnacle of the conscious mind. So right now, I'm going to ask you to just pause for a moment and notice the next thought that appears in your mind. Just watch it arrive. Human beings carry a remarkable ability. We can observe, we can think about our own thinking. And this ability is called Meta-Cognition. Meta-Cognition describes the mind reflecting on its own processes. A thought appears, awareness recognizes the thought, reflection examines the thought, and then choice determines where to move next. We're the only known species to have metacognition. Why did nature give that to us? Nature wastes nothing, and it spent approximately 4.6 billion years working on a species that is capable of this sort of self-awareness. It blows my mind. The conscious one, not the unconscious one, because that did it. That's for more later conversations. So among all known species, humans carry the most developed ability to reflect on our own thinking. And when it's not used properly, it can really work against us in the form of rumination. I almost forgot the word there. Rumination. Rumination is not necessarily a bad thing, but rumination loop, that can cause a lot of suffering. And that's something that I talk about in chapter 2 of my book, Turbulence. I won't go into it now. But all of these discussions, all of these conversations are about exploring the human experience. And by understanding how mind works, then we can really get all of our tools and equipment all lined up so that we can live these full, adventurous lives. So metacognition represents the pinnacle expression of the conscious mind. And what this gives us the ability to do is examine beliefs, question assumptions, and refine the direction of our lives. So how do we work with the conscious mind? Many people spend years trying to solve life entirely through thinking. The mind analyzes every situation. It searches for the perfect answer. It tries to calculate the safest path forward. And over time, this can be exhausting. Mind keeps working, but clarity is still far from reach. But when we understand the role of the conscious mind more clearly, something really interesting happens. Instead of allowing it to try and solve every problem through thinking and predicting what the outcome might be, we can start to use it as a tool for navigation. We can use it to orientate. And then you start to notice what it's doing. You might notice that it just keeps returning to the same fear, the same worry, the same concern. You might realize that you've been analyzing a decision for days. And that moment of noticing changes your relationship with the conscious mind. And you start to realize that you can use it as a navigator rather than the entire problem solver. And you just start to then create some space between the circumstance, the problem, and you. And then you allow for other opportunities and messages to surface through your unconscious channels. Decisions start to become lighter because then the role of the conscious is to focus on the direction rather than trying to control everything. And from this perspective, the mind works beautifully because it clarifies where you are and it helps you decide what matters, and it definitely guides the next step. And this really allows then the deeper levels of mind, the subconscious and the non-conscious, to organize behaviour and movement. And then life becomes far, far, far more navigable. So to summarise, the conscious mind is one of the most extraordinary tools that human beings possess. It brings awareness to our experience, and it allows us to reflect upon our actions, and it enables us to choose our direction in life. What we don't want is we don't want it to think that it can control everything, because it simply doesn't, and it simply can't. It doesn't have enough energy. It doesn't have enough power. So the conscious mind acts as the navigator. The subconscious mind holds the maps and the power grid of the system that we operate within. And the conscious mind forms the deeper source of energy, guiding us through intuition and instinct like a compass. When these three elements work together, life has so much more clarity, and you really start to recognize the serendipitous moments, what did Jung call it? Synchronicities of life, the opportunities. Life flows because you're not resisting it anymore. The conscious mind has this tendency just to control and resist. And when we can just relax it and let it navigate, then other parts of mind are allowed to do their part. Now, there is another human ability that connects these systems together. Human beings can imagine possibilities that don't yet exist. We can explore future paths without even taking a step. And in the next video, I'm going to explore imagination and how that acts as a bridge between the conscious mind and the deeper levels of intelligence and psyche. Because when imagination is used well, things happen. See you next time. Thank you.